Hi, I'm John Schreiber. For over 17 seasons, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center has been the state's premier home for both world-class and community-based performances. We pride ourselves on presenting something for everyone. That's why we're very proud to partner with the CAUCUS Educational Corporation to produce One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC. This special series features some of the very best talent New Jersey has produced. We're pleased to welcome them and you to the Arts Center.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC has been provided by the law firm of Gibbons PC, Barnabas Health, TD Bank, Verizon Communications, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, Auto Insurance, Homeowners Insurance, and Banking under the principle of stewardship, Josh S. Weston, and by NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Turn a dream into a degree.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Welcome to One-on-One here at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. You know, this state has a whole range of extraordinary performers, musicians, artists, and we are honored to have one of them right here in Newark at NJPAC. He is E Street's Max Weinberg, and people have been loving you and your work for a long time, and you're Jersey's own, and we're proud to have you, Max.
Thank you. It's good to be back in my hometown of Newark, New Jersey.
Talk about the hometown part.
Well, I was born in Newark at Beth Israel Hospital, April of 1951. My musical roots literally sprung from blocks around where we're sitting right now. Back in the late 50s, early 60s, Newark had an incredibly vibrant musical scene. It still does in so many ways, but there were clubs, there were teen clubs, there were theaters. One of my greatest memories was seeing James Brown at the old RKO Theater in 1964. So we would go over there, and there were so many opportunities both to play at the various Ys, the Jewish Y on Chancellor Avenue. And,
wow.
All my shopping was done in Newark, so it's wonderful to be sitting here with you again today.
Legend has it, or it's a fact, that you started playing drums at a very young age. How old?
Well, I was about 5 years old when I started just banging around on a little old drum that my cousin gave me. My first inspiration was seeing Elvis Presley, but it wasn't on the Ed Sullivan Show. It was 6 months earlier on the Milton Berle Show. And what grabbed me that particular night, sitting there with my two teenage sisters on the floor in front of this, little black and white TV set, was the drummer, DJ Fontana, who is alive and well, living in Nashville, Tennessee, and was Elvis's drummer from 54 to 68. And he had that big drum roll in Hound Dog. And I heard that, and for me, that was a call to arms. And I was just about 5 years old.
But in 1974, isn't that a fact that you answer an ad, I believe in the Village Voice?
This is a fact.
In 1974, you answer an ad, the E Street Band, I believe, were they called the E Street Band?
Yeah, it was an ad that was put in the Village Voice. It said, wanted drummer, no junior Ginger Bakers. Now, Ginger Baker was, of course, the incredibly talented, flamboyant drummer for Cream. And what that said to me in this ad, apart from the fact that it said Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, Columbia Records, which indicated that they had a record deal, they were doing better than I was, what the reference to Ginger Baker indicated was that Bruce and the band were looking for an accompanist, not a soloist. And that's what I did. That was the best thing I did, was play drums the way I play them, but play them the way you want to hear them.
First time you meet, excuse me, in that audition, if you will. By the way, in the audition, do you meet Bruce?
Oh, sure.
Describe it.
Well, it was wonderful. It was an open audition. Everybody got to play a half hour, all the drummers. I think I was something like 56th out of 60-something drummers.
That many?
Yeah, there were a lot of drummers.
Everybody wanted the gig?
Well, I would say that anybody who got the opportunity to play with Bruce and E Street Band after they played wanted the gig.
Okay.
Now, this was nearly 40 years ago,
Yes.
so the band wasn't as well known, obviously, kind of a cult following. Bruce had 2 albums out on Columbia Records.
Had Greetings
Greetings from Asbury Park
was out already?
and The Wildly Innocent and the E Street
Got it.
Shuffle, both of which I didn't play on. And as a matter of fact, the first album I played on, and the first commercially successful record I ever played on, though it was not the first, was Born to Run. However, a lot of people think I played on the song Born to Run. That was not me. That was a good friend of mine, Boom Carter, whose lasting legacy with Bruce Springsteen is he played on that one song, Born to Run. But in the audition, which was August of '74, everybody who auditioned got to play a half hour, no matter how good or how bad you were. And I can remember I was playing in the Broadway show Godspell up on 76th Street at the Promenade Theater, and it was a Monday night, it was a dark night. I didn't want to bring an entire drum set, so I brought a bass drum, a snare drum, and the cymbals that go up and down, a hi-hat. So I wasn't trying to make any minimalist statement. It was just that it was more convenient to just bring a small little drum set, and that made quite an impression. In one of the first songs we played, and I never knew quite why he chose me. Many, many years later, 25 years later, we were in California, and I asked him, Bruce, why did you choose me? What made the band decide I was the guy? He said, well, I did this thing with everybody. And if you know, if you've seen us play in concert, Bruce does a lot of incredible physical stuff on stage. And at one point in this one song, he went like this, like stop. And if you didn't stop, you were automatically eliminated.
You're out.
You're out, because you weren't paying attention. Then there was a long pause. And he did this for every drummer. He suddenly threw his arm out like that. And because I'd had a lot of experience playing behind dancers and singers and drums in service of something else, not just my own desire to show off, when he threw his arm out, I hit a
Is that a
snare
rim
drum
shot?
It was a big rim shot.
You knew instinctively?
To hit, yeah, when a dancer kicks, you hit a cymbal. You know, a comic, I had a lot of experience playing behind
But it
comics.
didn't say anything to you.
No, totally
Nothing.
instinctive. And the fact that I went for it, that's how I got to join the E Street Band.
And you didn't know that for 25 years after?
And I never asked. I never thought about it. It was very natural to me to respond to the physical movement. And as we started to play bigger venues, and he put the guitar down and became the front man that he is today, that physicality in the drumming was used to sort of further that stage business, so to speak.
Max, when did you know that the E Street Band, that you and Bruce and Clarence Clemens and together, what you guys had, when did you know that it was just something extraordinary?
I knew instantly as soon as I did that audition. At that point, I was 23. I'd been playing since I was about 5, all around Essex County, everywhere I could, you know, and I did cruise ships, weddings, bar mitzvahs, you name it.
Trying to find work.
Just keeping busy as a working drummer as I went through school, Columbia High School in Maplewood, New Jersey. And when Bruce counted it off, and it was all business, when he got to 4, I could tell, not so much from what he did, but from the way Clarence Clemens, Gary Talent, and Danny Federici, my beloved bandmates, related to Bruce. And that's something I'd never experienced, that kind of focus, that kind of intensity and discipline. And it was immediately apparent. And then, of course, we played, I remember that everybody got a half hour, but that first night, we played for 3 hours. So I went away feeling pretty good about that. Then I got very nervous. I went back for a second audition a week later because now I really wanted this gig. And 2 days later, I got in the band in August of 1974, coming up on 40 years.
Wow. But in 1989, you guys, something happens.
Yeah, in 1989, we essentially broke up. And
Why?
Well, I think it was time to fly the nest. And now with the benefit of 2020 hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to all of us.
Best?
It was the best thing
Well,
that
you
ever
wanted
happened.
to, you continued to do great things, but why at the time was it?
Well, it was disturbing at the time because in my own case, speaking for myself, it was, once I got in the E Street Band, that was all I did for 15 years. I played on some other records, Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart. I did
That's
some
you.
session work. Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
And, but the E Street Band was the focus of all my professional activity, of course. And when you're doing the E Street Band, it is the focus of your professional activity. So it was, at the time, I was 40, thereabouts. No, it was 39, I guess. And it was disturbing because you were standing, it was like standing on on the floor that suddenly gave way. And as I say, it was the best thing that ever happened because you get kicked out of the nest, you learn to fly. You have no choice. And I went into the record business in New Jersey. I did a lot of different things that I hadn't done prior to the band, quote unquote, breaking up. As it turns out, it was never in Bruce's mind that we break up. He just wanted to explore other avenues for his music. He likens it to mining in a vein in the ground, and you take this vein and you work that one for a while, and then you take another one. And you know, we had the 10 to 12 years of constant touring, constant recording, culminating with the Born in the USA tour in '84, '85. And that was our own version of, it doesn't get any better than this.
Take a break.
Well, it was a break. It turned out to be an 11-year break.
Talk about the being the band leader, head of the band, and also musical director for Conan, right?
For the late night program on NBC, that was a lot of fun.
That was tremendous, right?
Well, that's a big stage. You know, network TV is a big stage. I'd never done anything like that. I had a wonderful group of musicians.
They came after you.
No, actually what happened was...
I heard they came after you.
Well, they didn't come after me, actually. I was looking for a way back in. I started, as I said earlier, after the band broke up, I did a lot of different things. I went into business, but I felt my drumming ability slipping away.
So that was '89. When does the late night thing happen?
Late night happened in '93.
Okay.
Long story short, my wife and I were having dinner in New York, taking a walk down 7th Avenue. We get to the corner of 54th Street. Standing on the corner is Conan O'Brien. I said to my wife, Becky, that's Conan O'Brien. She said, great. Who's Conan O'Brien? And I explained that. He was the guy that was taking over for David Letterman on the late night program, and I'd seen him on Tom Snyder's old cable show, and I recognized him. And she said, well, why don't you, my wife encouraged me to go over and say hello. So he was waiting for the light to turn. He's a 6'5", redheaded guy. And I went on to talk to him, and there I am pitching him on the corner. And now I had no band, but I had a great idea for a band, and I had a lot of management experience working in the record business. And also being a guy who, you know, spoke softly, listened, and carried a big drumstick.
And you're from Jersey. Management helps from being from Jersey.
Yes, it does. It does. And one thing led to another, and I put that band together, and it was a wonderful experience. Did that for 17 years. 16 in New York, about 10 months in the short-lived Tonight Show. And it was a wonderful experience. You heard about that. Great experience, the whole thing. One of the greatest parts about it was flying on my own, so to speak, as a musician, but also being able to be home every night and fulfilling my favorite role, which is the father of 2 wonderful children. So instead of going on the road, I was able to have a normal sort of 9-to-5 job, except it was 11 to 9.
I'm going to, before I let you out of here, I want to give you a chance to talk about Hurricane Sandy has affected so many people, and Governor Christie actually sat in that chair not too long ago. A while back, we did a conversation with Governor Christie at NJPAC, and we talked a lot about Sandy, and I know you have a good relationship with the governor.
I do.
But Sandy impacted a lot of people, impacted you, impacted the folks around you, your community. Talk about the situation going on down there and why it's so important to you.
Well, the devastation that Sandy brought to so many areas, particularly the Jersey Shore, is just incredible. I took a tour 3 days later, and it was just shocking. In my own neck of the woods, we live in Atlantic Highlands on Sandy Hook Bay, and we had a 16.5 foot storm surge. The stories that you hear are so much more devastating than anything that happened to anybody in that town. There was some damage, but when you go down to Maniloking, Belmar, Seager, I mean, you just can't believe it. In Atlantic Highlands, though, in the marina, there must have been 200 boats piled on top of each other. It looked like Godzilla picked them up and just stomped on them. The whole marina was wiped out. And in connection with that, we have an interesting geological feature down there. the hills of Atlantic Highlands, which are built on slump blocks, which are very, very sensitive areas. And one of the features, which we're all in favor of, and it's a wonderful public access route, is what's known as the Bayshore Trail. It's part of the National Rail to Trail program that unused railroad beds were turned into hiking trails.
But it was hit by Sandy, devastated, but something has to be done right now, which is?
Yeah, this is what needs to be done. Those of us who love the trail, and there has been some lack of full disclosure in some of the media reports that I've seen, where, you know, facts, if you withhold the actual facts, you get a distorted story. This is a wonderful access way to actually walk along the water, and no one ever said that the trail should be abandoned, but it must be restored in a sustainable, ecologically friendly way. That
If
means,
not?
well, what's going to happen is you're at the toe of the slope. It washed away the bluff. In New Jersey, under the coastal regulations, a bluff is the same as a sand dune. You don't want to take a bulldozer on it. You don't want to drill into it. You don't want to remove native vegetation. This was all done somewhat in the name of progress through the years, and it weakened the bluff, which got liquefied during Sandy and then sucked out to the ocean. So what you have now is a cliff, and it's very dangerous. This is a cliff that is owned by a county county department, the Parks Department, and it's a sheer cliff with rock and some vegetative matter that presents both a liability to the public and a real danger to the homes that line this.
Something's got to be done. Max, I want to thank you for not just talking about your extraordinary career so far, the E Street story, and Bruce and Clarence, and terrific people. We always will miss Clarence, as you guys do in a special way, but also sharing these important concerns going on, ecological and otherwise, down at the Jersey Shore. Max, you honor us by your presence here.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate it. It's always good to watch you and now to be talking with you here.
It's better the other way around. Stay with us. We're right back from NJ PAC right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at caucusnj.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
There he is, back by popular demand, Grover Kemble. He's a singer, songwriter, performer, been at it for 40 years. He joined us about 10 years ago on another set when we were with the old Comcast network, right? Now we're here at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
I'm back. 10 years, I'm still here.
Love it, man. How you still, by the way, you spent 25 years at, right, Greystone Psychiatric Hospital, recreation supervisor.
I was the supervisor. I wasn't a patient there.
No, you were not. But how the heck were you doing that, doing this, and keeping it all together?
Well, you know, my experience there was great because I was able to play music there for the patients. So I was always working on new material or new ideas, and I would take these ideas to the patients.
You call it music therapy?
I call it music therapy.
Describe
But there was also a lot of theater involved. So we would do shows, and we'd have a cast member. Cast members were all patients, and we'd come up with these shows. And the patients would come up with the ideas, and then we'd find songs to fit the idea, and we'd put on a show. And I must have done 80 or 90 shows there over the years, all patient-centered shows. So it was great therapy for them, too.
Grover, when did you know that music would be a big part of your professional life?
I was probably about 12 years old, and I was witnessing, you know, Elvis Presley and the Beatles and stuff on the Ed Sullivan Show. And it just motivated me right away. I wanted to get a guitar in my hand. So I started playing at about the age of 12.
What's your thing with Jimmy Durante? You love him. Do
Well,
a show about
you
him,
know,
your whole thing. What's your obsession with him? In a good way, in a good way. You just call him an extraordinary entertainer.
When I would watch TV and the old variety shows with my parents, and Jimmy Durante would come on, or else Louis Armstrong, and I was always captivated by the way he could move an audience with his congeniality and the way he had a style all his own, gruff, kind of gravelly voice, but somehow he won your heart, and I always appreciated that. He was a timeless kind of an entertainer, and he just made me laugh and he made me cry at the same time.
Your own style.
Yeah.
Describe it.
Well, I kind of come from a rhythm and blues and a jazz vein. I like swing music. I like the feeling of that groove or in the pocket where it's kind of way back here, but it's moving right along. And I like the blues singers, the old-time blues singers, rhythm and blues singers.
Your website calls it Feel Good Entertainment?
Yeah.
You want your audience to feel good?
Well, I've always admired, like I say, the great entertainers of the 40s and the 50s. Jimmy Durante, Harry Belafonte, Sammy Davis Jr., Louis Armstrong. These guys, when they got up and played, they not only played great music, but they entertained, and that's what I like to do. Well,
you're going to be performing for us in a little bit. Are you going to be playing music or entertaining or both?
Well, I think you'll see that I try and play in a kind of a respectable jazz way of playing, swinging style, but I'm also visual too, so I'm entertaining at the same time while I'm telling a story.
Yeah, again, I remember 10 years ago when you performed for us. It's interesting because you're here at the Performing Arts Center, but you're not in front of, I mean, you're in front of our camera guys and our talented crew, and I'm here and I'm loving it. But there is something different about being in front of several hundred, if not thousands of people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Describe it.
Absolutely. Well, you draw from their energy, and you never know, every audience is different. So sometimes you have to feel that audience out and change gears right in the middle of the show. Sometimes you feel like the audience is a little low-keyed or it's very high energy, and you might have to change gears. So I like to feel the audience a little bit. Go out with a standard bunch of songs and then feel that emotion coming from them, feel that vibe.
You know what's so interesting, Grover? I think about your music, and you keep talking about the people who influenced you of the era, the 40s, 30s, 40s. But then younger people who have no sense of what the heck you're talking about, how do they respond?
I think they have not seen as much the kind of performer that I emulate. Most people today are getting up with their original material and singing a song, but they're not performing as much as they used to. And I think if they see me, they know that I came from a different era or that I respected a different era of performer. And I think they appreciate it. I hope they do.
Is there a part of you sometimes, I've often wondered this about you, and I thought it the first time I sat down with you, and I'm thinking about it again. Not just your persona, your performance, but everything about you. I think to myself, was Grover born at the wrong time?
Boy, I've had other people say
I know it sounds like a stupid question, but I'm thinking, this guy just, I mean, obviously you've done well in so many ways, but I'm thinking, wrong time?
You know, I've had other people say the same thing, that I really came from a different mold, from the old style vaudevillian, the old swingster, the old hipster, and that maybe I was born at the wrong time for what's new today. There are guys that do the similar kind of bag that I do. Tom Waits is similar to me, maybe Michael.
Similar, but
yeah,
you know you get your own unique thing going.
Yeah.
The internet have any impact on your operation?
What?
The internet.
I think more people are watching me on YouTube, and they got an idea of what I'm all about. So if I send out a message, I'm playing somewhere, lots of people now, they go on YouTube and they say, well, let's see what this guy's all about. I've heard about him. And hopefully your YouTube stuff presents you properly, because you can be presented on YouTube from somebody just making a visual.
You have no control over that.
Nah, not really.
By the way, what are you going to be performing?
I'm going to perform a song called I've Been Around a Long Time Singing Jazz and Blues. That's the long title.
Before you go over that, I just got to ask you this. How many years you at it again?
40.
Have not lost an ounce of passion, correct?
Not one bit. Not one bit. It's still in my blood.
Go over there and prove it, okay, buddy?
Okay, I will do.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Love it, Grover.
I've been around a long time, singing jazz and blues. I never got discovered, but that's the life that I choose. I played songs of swing and sad sorrow, paid homage to the music muse. I've been around a long time, singing jazz and blues, singing jazz and blues, singing jazz and blues. I played nightclubs on the east side and juke joints on the west. I heard some sharp singers, I thought I hung with the best. Well, I don't expect to make the big time, but I had me some good reviews. I've been around a long time, singing jazz and blues, singing jazz and blues, singing jazz and blues. Well, there's lots of swinging songsters on the sidelines. There's a tunesmith playing every joint. There's a whole lot of lively local fanfare. I played the game, made my point. I've been around a long time. Some people know my name. Heard a lot of stories about my fortune and fame. You can catch me in the cafes and the bistros, or my neighbor's backyard barbecues, 'cause I've been around a long time, singing jazz and blues, singing jazz and blues, singing jazz and blues.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence, and by the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, in cooperation with NJTV and 13 for WNET. Funding for this edition of One-on-One at NJPAC with Steve Adubato has been provided by the law firm of Gibbons PC, Barnabas Health, TD Bank, Verizon Communications, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, Josh S. Weston, and by NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.